to Springfield, Illinois, in the heart of the land of Lincoln. You know, this state capital town has a lot of heritage over the years in politics, as well as in stock car racing. And as you can hear in the background, they're lining up right now for the 13th event of the 1993 ARCA Hooters Cup Tour. Over the years, we've run a lot of good races here at Springfield, but no one can forget last year's when Bobby Bowser went around Ben Hess on the very last lap to pick up his second consecutive win. But Bowser has his work cut out for him today. There's a lot of really good cars in the field, and right now I'd like you to meet my broadcast partner, Jim Trado, down in the pit area.
Well, Ray, an interesting development here in the pit area. Dean Roper will be driving the familiar number 39 Ruler Brothers Pedigree Food for Dog Chevrolet. He's an 8-time winner on the dirt in ARCA Hooters Cup competition. His teammate today in another Ruler Brothers Chevrolet is the Kodiak Chevrolet driver, Kenny Schrader, the first of 10 drivers to break the qualifying mark here this afternoon at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. The driver on the pole, here's the ironic twist of it all, is Bob Hill out of Story City, Iowa. Bob is driving Kenny Schrader's Chevrolet, and he'll be starting from the number 1 position. Bob, this is your first ARCA Hooters Cup start. Did you ever dream of a situation like this, beating out Kenny Schrader, 54 other drivers, and setting on the pole in your first ARCA start?
No, this exceeded our expectations just a little bit. We were just hoping to qualify and get in the race, and we did a little better than we thought we would.
Better indeed. This is his second time on a dirt track on a 1-mile surface, so it's kind of interesting where Kenny Schrader, you're the car owner, you saw Bob Hill go out and not only beat your time, but beat everybody else and set a brand new track record in this car.
I'll tell you what, we knew we could do a good job, and we wasn't too sure what the old car was going to do. It's the actual Winston Cup car, but Bob got it around there quick enough.
Now, Kenny, the car you're driving is for the Ruler Brothers. You've won with this team at Hagerstown in 1990.
I ran with them one time before, and we won the race. We made arrangements to come up here, and we had this thing sitting. We got talking to Bob and his car owner, Larry Clement, and said, hell, we'll just drag it along up there, too, and Bob can run it.
Kenny Schrader starts 6th, Dean Roper starts 5th, and Bob Hill on the pole here today at the Illinois State Fairgrounds.
So it should be a great one. Don't go away, folks. 100 racing laps coming up in ARCA Hooters Cup competition right after these messages. Approximately 16,000 fans on hand today, Jim Trado. Welcome back to the Illinois State Fairgrounds, ladies and gentlemen, for ARCA Hooters Cup competition, event number 14 of 1993. Taking a look at the field, you see L.W. Miller and Frank Kimmel using provisional starts to get in today's race. And here's the field. You can take a look for your favorite driver as we come up through the field. There you see Mark Gibson in the number 77. Scotty Sands there from Henryville, Indiana. G. Pflum in the number 52 car. And Billy Rouse from Canada will be starting in the number 61 car. Glenn Brewer, who's always run good on the dirt, in the number 10. And outside of him, Mark Thompson from Cartersville, Georgia. You see young Jeremy Mayfield there in the number 5. Billy Thomas in the number 22. As we look up through the front pack of the field, there's Ken Rowley in the number 27. Bobby Bowser in the number 21 Quality Farm and Fleet Ford with not a great qualifying position. There's Bob Keselowski in the number 29, the Black Bandit from the Detroit area. Tim Steele from Coopersville, Michigan in the number 16. There's Tom Bigelow in the number 60. And as we look at the front pack, you see Dean Roper and Kenny Schrader starting in the 3rd row. And Randy Huffman with a great qualifying effort in the number 45. And outside of him is Bob Strait. And on the front row, it's Steve Keselowski and Bob Hill in the number 25. Jim Trado talked with him earlier. Jim, it's going to be a great race as we take a look at the crowd on hand here at Springfield, Illinois. A capacity crowd today on a beautiful Sunday afternoon.
You see the American flags waving. Earlier today, they were waving quite heavily as rain came in the area. A brief shower delayed the start of this race.
That's right, and we're ready to go with the racing action right now. 100 racing laps on the 1-mile dirt track. You see the beautiful Dodge Intrepid pace car moving off, and we're ready to go. The green flag is out, and we're racing in ARCA Hooters Cup competition.
On the pole, Bob Hill in his first ever ARCA Hooters Cup start, and Kenny Schrader's number 25 will take the lead into turn number 1. The Clement Kodiak Chevrolet leading Steve Keselowski in only his second ARCA start, starting outside pole here. His first race was 1 year ago.
An exciting, lightning fast track today, as we saw a bunch of cars going faster than the previous track record, which was held by Bob Keselowski. And as they turn into turn 3, there's Bob Hill, who's running second. Steve Keselowski's broken away just a little bit.
Bob straight on bottom, and you see that as they go through that corner, they get a little bit sideways. The track is still greasy, and one thing that they have to consider is how much dirt is going to be picked up, how much clay is going to get into the cowling. As these cars are going at a mighty fast speed, the track is still pretty slick. A lot of mud and clay spitting up in the early laps here.
That's right. With that rain we had earlier today, the track is a little bit slick on the early part of the race here, and that's Bob Strait, the number 37 Target Expediting Oldsmobile, being chased down by Randy Huffman, who, as we said, had a great qualifying effort getting into the top 5 in today's field.
We should mention before we getting too far along, 9 make that 10 drivers broke the qualifying mark. Randy Huffman knocking Kenny Schrader off the pole, a Marola, Illinois driver, and have the crowd going crazy. Right now, all eyes are on Steve Kosinski's Budweiser Oldsmobile as he leads yet another lap here in the early portion of the Allen Pro Memorial 100.
And you know, Jim, a lot of the drivers come out for just these dirt races. They don't run the entire ARCA Hooters Cup Series, and Steve Kosinski's won. This is actually only his second ARCA Hooters Cup start. He ran this race here at Springfield last year. I believe he qualified around 17th or 18th, and that's about where he finished. But he was one of the fastest cars in practice last year, and naturally today as he started on the outside pole.
Yes, you are seeing the dirt, ladies and gentlemen. The ARCA Hooters Cup competition goes all over the United States to bring you the best in racing. Here we're on the dirt mile at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. The field comes thundering fast. You notice not too many cars are going straight out of the corners, Ray Dunlap. They're always a little bit sideways trying to get traction as a cushion will develop as far as how smooth the track gets and how it stays throughout the day. We'll have to see as the 100 laps keep ticking away.
That's right, and the crowd is on their feet here as they're cheering for some of their local drivers, including Ken Rowley, and they've seen Dean Roper run a lot of races here. He's in the Pedigree Chevrolet today, and we'll get a look at where Roper's running here quickly. Oh, we got trouble on turn 2. That looks like Bob Dotter, and I believe it might be the 52 of Jeep Pflum. Those two cars, yep, that's who it is, Jeep Pflum. Those cars have come together. So we have our first caution out today. Bob Dotter evidently getting the car sideways coming out of turn 2.
His Monte Carlo now is straightened away. The first 2 cars with any sort of damage are these 2 cars. We'll have to see how important it is for these crews to make sure these grills stay clean and how many drivers will actually come in the pit area. As we can see, a number of cars, that dark black front end means there's a lot of mud, a lot of clay built up on the front end of these machines. It's
way too early for these guys to be coming in for pit stops right now. I don't think you'll see a lot of cars ducking in this early portion of the race, but we'll just see what happens. The car's getting back in line. Apparently we should be able to get restarted here fairly quickly. You see Steve Kosinski running in the front along with Bob Hill, Bob Strait from Mokina, Illinois, in the 37 Target Expediting car. Randy Huffman running 4th, and Dean Roper has moved his way up to 5th, and we're back underway as we get started. I believe this is lap 5. Roper looks to the inside, and he'll make a position pass, but Steve Kosinski out of Omaha, Nebraska, the driver to watch thus far, sat outside pole, took the lead on lap number 1. He'll lead him back to Green Flag Racing on the back straightaway. Bob Strait now working on the outside of the 39 Ruler Brothers car, today driven by Missouri veteran Dean Roper. Roper with a lot of experience on the dirt, and for those of you who are not familiar with the Pedigree team, this is a team that puts different drivers in the car when they go to different racetracks. They feel they want to have the best driver available, and certainly Dean Roper is one of those guys, and they hired Kenny Schrader to drive their second car. So 2 veterans with a lot of experience driving the Rouleau Brothers cars today. We'll see how they fare. Notice how the pack files into turn number 1. They're still a bit cautious going single and double file through that corner. They get back on the gas in turn number 2, and then it's a drag race all the way down this long back straight here at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. Well, this track over the years has been known as a one-groove racetrack once they work it in through practice. And today, with the rain, I think that's definitely going to be the case, because that outside lane is really slick, and you can see the cars doing a little dirt tracking and sliding out there as they come through turn 4. We take a look here at number 76. That's Graham Taylor from Port Royal, Pennsylvania. Taylor with a good run early on in the race here. He qualified well. He's running well, and maybe his best run thus far in early portions of ARCA Hooters Cup races. We've seen Graham struggle a bit, so he's looking for a good run today. We see Gary Hawes going around the outside of open wheel veteran Tom Bigelow there, car number 60, holding off Tim Steele, our current point leader, and Bob Keselowski as they go into turn 3. When you look down the list of the drivers that have gone to victory lane here at Springfield, you see Tom Bigelow's name a lot. Most of the time he's been to victory lane in a midget in the open wheel cars, but we see him come out just about every year. He's driving the number 60 Fuel Cat entry in today's race here on the 1 mile dirt track. As we see the fairs going on in the background at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in Springfield, Illinois, the field continues now. It's spread out and led by Steve Kosinski, bringing that Oldsmobile back into turn number 3. See that bright red number 53 sliding through the turns, getting optimum traction. Bob Hill, who's also a dirt track veteran, a very strong contender in late model dirt racing, as both those drivers have led a number of laps and won a number of races over the years. They both make their careers dirt track racing and late model series. Talking to Bob in the pit area, they have purchased a Winston Cup car, and they're going to go do some super speedway racing later in the year. They're planning on making it to Atlanta. But today, his very first start, and boy, what can you do but be excited about starting on the pole. So an exciting race so far in the early going here. That's Graham Taylor moving up on Dean Roper in the number 39 Pedigree Food for Dog Chevrolet. We take a wide view here as we look up towards the front of the pack to see what's going on with the leaders. And boy, Steve Keselowski has really opened up a big lead as he comes down the front stretch there with Bob Hill in tow in second place in the Kodiak Clement Chevrolet.
What is so hard to believe is that Steve Keselowski has raced just once before in ARCA Hooters competition. This race, 1 year ago, you mentioned he ran mid-pack. Now he's got the experience. He's got the car that his brother Joe flipped on the backstretch at Talladega a few years ago. That's the very same Oldsmobile now leading the field in the Allen Crow Memorial 100. Somebody's slow to the inside, right?
I can't tell. I think that might be the 13 car of Jody Guerra. Yes, it is. It's Jody Guerra and the J.D. Dankin Pontiac, and some sort of a problem there. We see the yellow light is out, so we're going to take a short break in our... Welcome back to the Illinois State Fairgrounds. Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado on the Prime Network, lap 13 in ARCA Hooters Cup competition. And our second caution of the day is L.W. Miller from Dewshore, Pennsylvania, limps to the pit area to get some service. And we see some other cars in the pit area early on today. There's Kenny Schrader and Dean Roper, the two pedigree cars. Actually, they're Kodiak on Kenny Schrader's, but both owned by the Rowley brothers. And those cars in and out for service early on in the race here, getting some fuel and also cleaning off that front screen.
A number of teams were in the pit area, including Don LeDuc's Oldsmobile. We see Bob Keselowski in the pits. Two drivers that were caught in the pits when this caution came out. One of those drivers, the driver who won this race a year ago and the previous year, Bobby Boucher, 1992 ARCA Hooters Cup champion, in the pits when the caution came out. He's now a lap down on the inside.
That's going to hurt Boucher. He's going to have to try to get back on the lead lap as he's on the inside here. And we see Steve Keselowski leading them down as they take the green flag. Once again, we're under racing conditions, and Bob straight to the outside trying to make that move.
Both those drivers elected to stay out on the racetrack, and as we go back into turn number one, Bobby Boucher, a veteran here in the running on the mile at Springfield, left those leaders by for the moment, unable to get back on lead lap, and we see Steve Keselowski powering with horsepower past Bob Straight now on the backstretch single file. Back into turn number three, it's the Oldsmobile. Keselowski leading the Target expediting forward. Now Bob Straight, but you see Straight with a bit of an inside look on our race leader.
Well, last year Bob Straight was here in his very own car, and he finished third to Ben Hess and Bobby Boucher, one of the most exciting races we've seen here on Dirt Mile in Springfield in a long time. But we've got a good one going today as Straight's in second place, trying to chase down Steve Keselowski from Omaha.
Keselowski again running on the outside portion of the racing groove. You see he's not at the very bottom of the racetrack when he exits the corner. He's using up all the racetrack. You see the car in third there get a bit sideways and lose some momentum and some traction. Keselowski, however, maintaining his smooth slide through turn number three.
Last year when we were here, Steve Keselowski was one of the fastest cars in practice, and they changed something on the car. I'm not exactly sure what, but it did slow down, and they didn't qualify as well as they would have liked to. But boy, he's in good position today as he's led all the laps so far in today's race.
I talked to Steve just as he walked up to the introduction line, and he was pretty optimistic about his run today. Knowing he started second, he said, I just got to get out there, get comfortable in the race car, and maybe lead some laps if I can. And obviously he's doing that thus far here in the Coors Allen Crow Memorial 100. As we see Bobby Boucher's drifted back now, and he's running again a lap down here in the Quality Farmers Lead Forward.
Well, last year Ben Hess was in the Target expediting Ford that Bob Straight is now driving, and he led 73 laps here. So this is a car that's definitely capable of winning this race. And Bob Straight with some great finishes here. Matter of fact, I think he's only finished out of the top 5 one time on this racetrack. So keep your eye on that car as we see Jeremy Mayfield making an outside move there going down the backstretch. A lot of cars trying to sort out, get a feel for, just exactly how they're running today. And we haven't seen much of Mayfield in the last couple of races. We'll keep our eye on him, see what goes on.
Shoney's in Oldsmobile. It continues to run under green. I believe he did make a pit stop early on, and now a car slows into the pit area.
That's number 93, Kenny Schrader, the Kodiak car going to the pit area. So some sort of a problem there. Appears that he's got an overheating problem.
Gary pauses in for an extended stop there. You see one of the Huffmans going by. Kenny Schrader's front end completely clogged with clay as Steve Keselowski continues to run. Oh, look at that, under green.
Yeah, good racing as they come out of turn 4 there as Keselowski goes around the number 14. That's Joe Wallace from Kansas City, Kansas.
Off turn 4 now, down the front straightaway. He's putting a lap now on the 12 of Roger Blackstock, the Blackstock Racing Pontiac. Keselowski goes on by, and he will again continue to lead here as he's about to put veteran Bob Dodd of Chicago a lap down. So Keselowski really making quick work on the mile.
Right, we saw Roger Blackstock in the number 12 there. We want to send best wishes out to his mother. Roger's mom had an aneurysm, and She's been in the hospital, and our best wishes go out for a speedy recovery for Roger's mother. And we see the number 37 car of Bob Strait going to the pit area very slow, as well as Jeremy Mayfield. So problems early on here for the number 37. That's a bad sign for Bob Strait, who was running second in today's race.
We get word that Kenny Schrader does have some terminal overheating problems, so he may be cut short in his Kodiak Chevrolet, looking for a strong run, as we mentioned. One of the Team Ruler Brothers cars in the Kodiak Chevrolet. His teammate Dean Roper continues to race on the racetrack, and Kenny Schrader's own car, Bob Hill, continues to run in the top 10 in the Clement Kodiak Chevrolet, number 25.
3 or 4 cars out of the event already. Kenny Allen from Shelby, North Carolina, in the OnSat Pontiac. He's retired his car. Kenny only completed 4 laps today, so some sort of an overheating problem for him, as well as with J. Paul Weber from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's having problems. And look at this, the leader is slowing. Number 53, Steve Keselowski, slow out of turn 4. Some sort of a problem with his car. I can't, well, it seems like he's back on the gas now. I don't know, Jim.
What a strange way to look at it. It looked like he may have been coming in the pit area. As we saw from our vantage point, his front grill work was not all that clogged. Maybe it was going to be a tire change or a confusion in the pit area. He gets back on the gas pedal. Luckily for Steve Keselowski here in screen, he's the leader by a comfortable margin, and he'll maintain the lead heading back into that third turn.
I thought maybe he had broken the motor. I mean, the car slowed dramatically, but he's back on the gas now, and he continues to be the leader. Early on in the Springfield 100-lap race here, the Coors Allen Crow Memorial.
The track is now smoothing out as we see the cars continuing to go around. It's being spread out quite a bit under this green flag period. Keselowski with a comfortable size lead. As we continue under green flag racing, we see Keselowski leading now appears to be Tim Steele in the racing order. A number of lead lap cars have made pit stops, so Tim Steele is surprised to run this far in the HS Dine Engineering Oldsmobile, running in the top 5 now. After there he is there running in second spot.
Right, and Tim Steele came into this race with the ARCA Hooters Cup Supercar Series point lead. And he really needs a good finish in today's event because he doesn't have much experience on the dirt. And when he came here today and did some practice laps, he says, geez, Ray, I don't even know what kind of time I should turn in here. He says, I've never done this before. And he's in a good position right now running in the top 5.
And what's good for Tim Steele at this point is that there's no cars directly ahead of him. As we see the race go on, cars have made pit stops. They have had the hose out in the pit area. The windshields have been wiped. They've all run glass windshields here. There's no screen on the dirt mile, so that can get quite a visibility problem started, as well as the front ductwork. You can see a lot of those grills have specially made screens on the front. There's Ken Rowley now is trying to get underneath the car for position. You can see the different configurations on the front end to try to keep these engines cool.
We haven't seen much of Bob Keselowski so far in today's race in the number 29 Winnebago Chrysler, but he's running in the top 10 too, as well as Ken Rowley in the number 27 Friends of 27 Chevrolet.
The crowd goes crazy every time they hear Ken Rowley's name mentioned on PA here at Springfield, and he's got a number of fans in the stands that have actually put money behind his racing effort.
He's from nearby Bloomington, Illinois. A lot of these drivers, as we said, come out for just this race. And Rowley's a guy that sometimes he'll run 5, 6, maybe 7 events in a season, but this is one of his favorite tracks. As we see, I believe that is our leader, Steve Keselowski.
Keselowski continues to loop around this racetrack, and the Budweiser Oldsmobile continuing that line, not straying too far from it. We notice that lap traffic is just ahead, but we mentioned Tim Steele running clean and free of any lap cars ahead of him that perhaps can clog his ductwork in that number 16, the red Oldsmobile sponsored by HS Dine Engineering.
One of the other favorites from around here is Steve Drake. He's also from Bloomington, Illinois, in the County Line Farm Chevrolet. He's taken his car to the pit area, so some sort of a problem for the number 79 of Steve Drake.
42 cars started this event today. A record 54 cars attempted to qualify here at the Springfield Mile. Steve Keselowski's qualified second. One of the 10 drivers to break the qualifying record as he now puts a lap on the Budweiser Chevrolet of Robert Ham off of turn number 4.
You know, Jim, before qualifying, we were pretty sure that Kenny Schrader was going to be up front. You can always count on Bob Strait and Dean Roper to be up there. But Randy Huffman turning in the 3rd fastest time today as he went 104.269 miles an hour. And I don't think anybody was more surprised than we were, except for Randy Huffman and the Huffman brothers.
At that point, Kenny Schrader had set the mark, so we all thought, okay, Kenny's got a real good shot at the pole. Everybody's going to be running for second. And then when we hear Randy Huffman on the pole, the crowd went crazy. And I think a lot of people said, wait a minute, we've got to watch qualifying a little closer here. It's far from over.
That's right. And Randy Huffman from Maroa, Illinois, so a lot of fans up in the stands for both the Huffman brothers, Randy and Jerry.
As we reach the one-third halfway point here, Steve Keselowski continuing to run under green. He has yet to pit on any caution or any green flag period. We see Tim Steele closing in just a bit in his Oldsmobile. But again, on this long mile, what a beautifully prepared facility it is. Great-looking racetrack, very family atmosphere. As you can see, 16,000 families, 16,000 people have showed up. Their families here. They're in the infield. You can see them up on their specially constructed trucks that they can get way up in the air and watch most of the racetrack. On this dirt mile, though, it's all Steve Keselowski showing the way. He's led from the drop of the green flag here in ARCA Hooters Cup racing on the Springfield mile.
You know, a great crowd on hand for today's race, but we do need to mention the problems they've had out in this area with flooding. Need to keep it in mind that there's a lot of unfortunate people just near here, you know, about 45 miles away. There's massive devastation because of the flooding. And at the end of the program, we'll show you a 1-800 number if you'd like to call the American Red Cross and donate to help with their flood relief. I'm sure that would be much appreciated by the people in this area.
Steve Keselowski, our race leader out of Omaha, Nebraska, an area that is famous for the corn. Let's hope they don't have the droughts that are affecting other parts of the country as we speak. You mentioned the flooding. It's also a disparity with the drought in certain areas of the country, but the Omaha driver continues to lead under green here on this mighty slick, mighty smooth surface, as now the cars are slowing a bit.
There's Dean Roper in the number 39 pedigree Food for Dogs Chevrolet. Keselowski going down the backstretch there. Man, this race has been all his all the way from the drop of the green flag.
What's amazing is a minute ago I said the cars appear to be slowing. When they go into turn number 3, if there's a slower car ahead of them, that single group racetrack may be developing now. So when Dean Roper got off the gas pedal, I thought maybe a caution flag flew just now or something, but as it turns out, he was just being very cautious heading into that third turn.
Right, and we see now on the scoring that Donnie LeDuc from Clinton Township, Michigan, and Tom Bigelow from Winchester, Indiana, have both taken their cars to the pit area. Donnie LeDuc in the Tech 3 prototype Olds, and Tom Bigelow, unfortunately, cutting his day short in the Fuel Cap Pontiac. He completed 25 laps in today's event.
Keselowski continues to lead, but look how many lap cars are ahead of him. Luckily, he's developed that outside racing line as he now works through turns 3 and 4 here on this perfectly symmetrical oval. A 1 mile in length here at the Springfield Fairgrounds. Pflum now going a lap down on Jim Collins' auto body Oldsmobile.
Pflum with a pretty good run. I think he's scored right now in the top 10 also, in danger of going a lap down. I don't think he got passed by the start-finish line that time, but it appears with this awesome horsepower that Keselowski has in his car, he should get by him. Lots of cars fanning out on the backstretch. A great view, as you see there, Eric Smith in the number 9 car going by. Bob Keselowski also, I believe he's in the frame there. Some great views of these cars. Number 6 is Mark Anderson in his first ARCA Hooters Cup start today, driving the number 6 car, and Keselowski with some lap traffic to try to get around as they head back down the front stretch.
Notice how comforting and wide this front straightaway is. It narrows down considerably into a funnel into turn number 1. But Steve Keselowski getting racing room, passing Jody Guerin on that J.D. Dankin Pontiac. Bobby Bowser right behind in that number 21 car. He is a lap down as we speak, but Keselowski now showing Bowser the way around, and Bowser might be a bit impressed. Maybe we should get his thoughts after the race on how he thinks Keselowski's doing in only his second ARCA Hooters Cup start.
Well, what Bowser really needs to do now is to get back around Steve Keselowski in case the caution would come out. They're going around Mark Gibson there from Auburn, Alabama, and he's driving the number 77 Atlas Copco Chrysler. That's a car owned by Charlie Newby out of the Detroit area.
The cars continue under this extended green flag period. Bob Donner, the veteran from Chicago we mentioned, involved with our first caution flag, spinning up in turn number 2. He continues on in the Donner and Davis Racing Chevrolet, now going a lap down. There goes Donner, and they'll make that, yeah, Bobby Bowser. Bob Donner was disposed of a lap half a straightaway ago, and Bobby Bowser now working around our race leader to get back on that lead lap.
Right, he needs to get past the start-finish line and hope for a caution if Bowser can stay out front there to get back on the lead lap. Steve Keselowski apparently slowing a bit as he comes down the front straight, and I think there's something wrong with that car. Now Mark Gibson, it's at Auburn, Alabama. He's actually from Auburn, Georgia, and Gibson right up on the tail of Steve Keselowski, so we'll see if he can get back past the number 53. Steve Keselowski has led every lap of the race so far. We're at about lap 50, and we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more ARCA Hooters Cup right after. And welcome back to the Springfield Mile. Prime Network's coverage of ARCA Hooters Cup competition continues. I'm Ray Dunlap along with Jim Trado, and as we went to break, Steve Keselowski, our early leader in today's race, had problems and went to the pit area. They're continuing to work on the car, and your new leader right now is Tim Steele in the number 16 H&S Dye Oldsmobile. Steve Keselowski picked up $1,000 by leading the halfway. That's sponsored by Naturally Fresh Foods and also Flowmaster Mufflers. But right now he's in the pit area having problems with overheating.
No problem on the racetrack for Tim Steele as 55 laps have been completed, putting a lap now on Bob Dotter. He goes off for turn number 2. The Oldsmobile of Tim Steele now leading the field, albeit a surprise to everyone in the pit area, thinking Tim Steele would have done better in the super speedways where he's won this season. He has yet to be on a dirt track for any period of time other than probably just crossing the dirt track to watch and spectate a race at his local hometown track.
That's right, and Tim Steele leading this race right now. A surprise to everyone, but he's got his H&S Dye Oldsmobile out front, and we see that Bob Breback from Ashland, Wisconsin has gone to the pit area also with overheating problems. So a problem today with a lot of drivers getting too much mud up on that screen in front of the car and just not able to get enough air into the engine compartment.
In talking to Bob Breback before the race, his Scafidi Mac Buick was going to be sitting on the grid without any fancy grill work. He said, I'm just going to run straight up, and when it comes to caution, if I can get a chance to squirt it off, I will. As his car came in the pits, a big puff of white smoke, so it appears more than just overheating problems. It could be an engine problem for the Ashland, Wisconsin veteran who won this race in 1990.
Right, and last year he sat on the pole for this race, so Bob Breback running his 21st consecutive race here on the 1-mile dirt track. The only driver to run all the races here. He's out early, unfortunately, today.
The Ron Anderson Performance Ford and Mark Anderson now getting passed by our race leader. Look at the long back straightaway now. You can see the groove definitely has worn to the outside of the racetrack on the straightaway. Into the turn on the bottom goes the Oldsmobile of Tim Steele. I believe he is probably smiling and still saying, this is a lot of fun. Am I supposed to be leading? Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing that?
Yeah, he really didn't know exactly what kind of a race this was going to turn out to be today, but man, he's got to be happy running up front. Right now, Tim Steele has won 2 races in 1993. He went to Victory Lane in the Mountain Magic Jamboree 150 at Pocono, and he also won at Talladega in the Poland Pro 500K. So 2 victories for Steele this year and a lot of top 5s. And right now, he's preparing to go around the number 77 of Mark Gibson from Auburn, Georgia.
Gibson does go another lap down, I believe 2 laps down for that veteran as he now works behind the race leader, Tim Steele, coming off of turn number 4 near the guardrail. It appears it's almost a horse race off of that 4th turn, and down the stretch they come. It's still Tim Steele leading. In view now is Jeep Pflum's Oldsmobile, so you can see how dominant Steele is as Jeep Pflum is racing in the top 10.
Good to see the number 77 still in the race. Mark Gibson taking over this ride for Charlie Newby and the Atlas Copco team. In the middle of the season, unfortunately, Rick Shepard, his driver for most of the season, left the team, and Mark Gibson jumping back in that car, a car he's driven in the past. So we'll see how Mark does today. Both Chrysler still in the event today with Bob Keselowski and Mark Gibson running right now in the race as we approach lap 60.
Tim Steele now leading off for turn number 4. Jeep Pflum's Oldsmobile just ahead in that Jim Collins collision car. But as we look at Tim Steele, I talked to him before the race momentarily. I said, Tim, can you figure this thing out? He said, I don't know. My dad did all the grill work. He said, don't ask me why or how. I think this will work. And so far it's working as Harold Steele, his father and car owner, has got things working in the pit area. On the racetrack, it's all Tim Steele behind the racing car and driving it into turn number 3 again. Very quietly making his way through the field and now confidently leading here in the Alan Crow Memorial 100.
And you see just at the tail end of the screen there, number 25, Bob Hill, the pole setter for today's race, moving back up in the race. So now that the 53 of Steve Keselowski is out, we may see Hill become a factor again in today's race as he's moving up on Tim Steele, about 10 car lengths right now, as there's 1 car separating those 2. Steele the leader, and number 25, Bob Hill, running in 2nd place in the event right now.
As Kenny Schrader said, it was a surprise to everyone to have Bob Hill set on the pole. And as he comes down behind the race leader into turn number 3, it's Tim Steele, then Bob Hill in the running order.
Right, and he's moving up pretty well on Steele, we'll have to see. And Hill's out on the outside in the cushion. Oh, my goodness, he's into the wall. Bob Hill, number 25. Just as we get talking about him, what a good job he's doing and moving up, and he crashes the car. Some sort of a problem as Hill just got loose out into the marbles in the outside groove and crashed that car hard into the inside retaining wall. I hope he's okay. Jim, here's a replay. We see the car just hanging out there in the marbles. He tried to correct it, and it appears the car just would not steer. And look at that. He crashed that wall hard.
You can see where the shiny portion of the racetrack is and where it's kind of dark and gray. That's where all the loose dirt is. He got up in the loose dirt trying to get around Jeep Pflum, as now pit stops are being made. On that replay, I saw Bob Hill, I believe, just get loose and not be able to get that car back in. Again, his first ever race and probably the heaviest race car he's run. ARCA Hooters Cup pole position winner. Now has a long day ahead of him explaining to car owner Kenny Schrader what he did and what he didn't do on the racetrack. Tim Steele now, first time in the pit area in the HS Dye and Engineering Oldsmobile.
And look at Steele's grill. It appears to be fairly clean, so they must have figured out a way to keep that car clean on the front grill as he heads out. And we see number 25, Bob Hill's car, coming into the pit area. Boy, he really hit that wall a ton.
A very disappointing end to what a great start for Bob Hill, our pole sitter here today in the Allen Pro Memorial 100.
So Kenny Schrader out after 27 laps, and now Bob Hill retires the number 25 after 63 laps in today's race. Mile for ARCA Hooters Cup Racing here on the Prime Network. Billy Thomas, your current leader right now, after we just had a short caution there for Bob Hill from Story City, Iowa, crashing the number 25 car. And Jim, we're ready to go back to green flag racing.
The pit stops have been made. The grill work is cleared. Billy Thomas will lead the field back down in his Pontiac as we see Jeep Pflum leading the lap cars on the inside. And as we see Billy Thomas pull away, here comes Dean Roper down on the very inside.
Well, Roper passed to the left there. I don't think the ARCA officials are going to like that. You have to be past the start-finish line before you make a move on the inside. You have to pass to the right up until then when the green flag comes out. So the number 39 making sort of, whoa, and there's a little bit of contact on the backstretch there as Roper gets a little bit sideways and hits Bob Keselowski. But right now, number 22, Billy Thomas, your current leader.
The cars are now weeding out, but you see they go hard into turn number 3, 2 and 3 wide racing here on the restart. Billy Thomas will lead the Pontiac down. Bob Keselowski is now into the top 3 picture as Thomas again a bit squirrely off the corner number 4.
Yeah, this car all out of shape there as Tim Steele running in second place behind Billy Thomas there. We see a number of cars staying up front with the leaders now. This race might get tightened up a little bit as Steele goes to the outside coming out of turn 2 around the number 22 of Billy Thomas. Thomas squirrely all over the place. And you see Bobby Bowser coming up back there as well as Ken Rowley and number 29 Bob Keselowski back into the picture.
There are no doubts in Tim Steele's mind. He can run on the dirt. He took the lead from Billy Thomas off the second turn, albeit Thomas squirrely. He used an outside pass to Tim Steele to get back the lead here in the Allen Pro Memorial 100. And into second goes Bob Keselowski in the Winnebago Chrysler. Thomas all out of shape off that corner, and Keselowski on by. So the veteran looking for his first win in 1993 now has second.
Ah, my goodness, Billy Thomas is out of shape. I hope he gets that car under control as right now Tim Steele moving it down the backstretch with Bob Keselowski in tow. Thomas in third position right now is Ken Rowley trying to make a move on him as Rowley dips his nose onto the inside. Now he tries the outside going around Billy Thomas. Tim Steele, your leader, Bob Keselowski running second.
As they go off of turn number 4 now, Steele will take that Oldsmobile down. Keselowski is drawing him in a bit. Here is the battle for position number 3 on the racetrack. It's Billy Thomas and Rowley. Rowley, what a surprise. The Friends of 27, the sponsor on the quarter panel. Fans putting money towards his effort. What a great run today for that Illinois driver.
And the fans are loving this, having their hometown boy running up front in the top 5 as he makes a move now on the outside, trying to get that horsepower wound up going down the backstretch. Billy Thomas currently running in third position. Steele up front, and a little bit of contact there between Tim Steele and Bob Keselowski in turn 3. The cars seem to be sorted back out, and Bobby Bowser now moving into the picture, bringing his Quality Farm and Fleet Ford back up. He needs to get back past these leaders. He again is a lap down in the race.
He won this race last year and the year before, now trying to get back on lead lap. Things are starting to gel for a number of teams. Bobby Bowser, one of the cars that has been in and out of the pit area under every caution available to clear that grill work and to get that windshield cleaned off as a number of cars continue to sit in the pit area. We find the leaders up in turn number 3 at full song. It's Tim Steele leading Bob Keselowski now by a comfortable 2-car length advantage. Keselowski now closes in as they get into turns 3 and 4, so it looks like the Chrysler may be working a bit better in the turns.
And speaking of working, Ken Rowley doing very well as he now has gotten around Billy Thomas, and so does Bobby Bowser. So the number 22 car going backwards in the field right now. Bowser has moved up. He is a lap down. Right now the leaders are Tim Steele Bob Keselowski and Ken Rowley. Those cars are on the lead lap as we see it in scoring right now. And Keselowski making a move to the outside as they come down the backstretch in trouble. Billy Thomas with the number 22 car into the wall. Jim, that was just a matter of time. He had his hands full running that car.
Indeed, as he came off of that corner, let's take another look here. We can see him get wide. There's Keselowski perhaps going for the lead. Look in the back there. He's way off the groove.
Man, he hit that wall pretty hard too. So two pretty hard accidents there. Billy Thomas and number 25 Bob Hill hitting the wall earlier. And here's the race for the lead that we didn't see. We need to go back to this. This is what happened right after Billy Thomas hit the wall. Keselowski on the outside of Steele, Steele on the inside. The fans are on their feet here, and they bump once again as they go out of turn 4, and number 27, Ken Rowley, down the front stretch. The fans are going crazy as number 27 takes the lead, but right then the caution came out for number 22, Billy Thomas. So an exciting lap right there. Thomas hits the wall, and Rowley takes the lead.
The spotters for the lead trio, I'm sure, told them that, hey, we're going to come back to a yellow flag situation, guys. Race on down to the line as they do here. Race back to caution in ARCA Hooters Cup competition. Bobby Boucher racing into the attention of his pit area.
Yeah, hot car there on the number 21 Quality Farm and Fleet Ford. And as he heads back out onto the racetrack, we're going to take a short break. We'll come back and show you the exciting conclusion of this one. It's a dandy. Don't go. Phoenix City, Alabama, the hometown of Billy Thomas, who drives the number 22 car, hitting the wall there to bring out our caution. Ray Dunlap and Jim Trado with ARCA Hooters Cup Racing on the Prime Network. A great race so far. Ken Rowley, your leader right now, as we're ready to go back to green flag racing once again on lap 90.
The Bloomington, Illinois driver had such a great run there to get back to the caution flag and get the lead away from those two ARCA Hooters Cup Series point battlers. Now we find Ken Rowley leading them back down with just 10 laps remaining. Can Ken Rowley hang on as we reach the end point here of the Allen Crow Memorial 100 back into turn 1? It looks like he's got it. Ken Rowley leading now. Bob Keselowski as Tim Steele has dropped off the pace a bit.
Steele back about 10 car lengths right now as number 27, Ken Rowley, leading the race here. Bob Keselowski right in tow in the Winnebago-sponsored Chrysler. Keselowski picking up the sponsorship this year from Winnebago Industries, Motorhomes, and great sponsorship for him, running up front for one of the first times so far this year. A good run for him, Jim.
Disappointing season at best to this point. He's now running behind Ken Rowley, making his 20th start on the dirt here, and Rowley going up on the front straightaway. Knows there's less than 10 laps left. The crowd is going crazy. They're on their feet. Keselowski's within striking distance here. Any bobble by Ken Rowley, and Bob Keselowski's got this race.
It appears to be a two-car race right now as number 29, Bob Keselowski, has moved in. There's a car on the backstretch there. Rich Hayes and number 76, Graham Taylor, going for a spin there in the Rick Wentz Racing Pontiac. Taylor, look out! Oh, my goodness. Cars all over the place on the backstretch. He bumps into Robert Ham a little bit there. 76, Graham Taylor from Port Royal, Pennsylvania, spinning it there, and the cars come down the front stretch to race for the caution, and Ken Rowley beats number 29, Bob Keselowski, back to the caution. So Taylor bringing out the caution here as we go into the closing laps of the race here. Number 91 laps down now, as we see on the scoreboard there, with 27 leading. We get a replay here. Taylor just loops it out there, but Jimmy kept it off the wall. That's about the same place where Billy Thomas cracked the wall just a few laps back.
The track must be narrowing at that point where there's only one groove on the racetrack, and if the car is ill handling it all like Graham Taylor's may have been, you can see he got out of shape and spun in a hurry, and the field came on down.
Right, and a quick caution here as we're ready to go back to green. That's a good sign here is Ken Rowley keeping the car moving back and forth, trying to keep those tires clean, and Bob Keselowski. And there's Tim Steele running in third position. He's moved back up, and we see a hot car there again on Bobby Bowser, number 21. Ready to go green flag racing. A little brake check there by number 27, Ken Rowley. We're back under green. Keselowski moving up, coming up here on number 27, and Steele once again back in the picture.
Rowley with a great start. The top three cars now free of black traffic. Tim Steele now is back to Song in third as he powers his Oldsmobile into turn number 1. The leaders now through turns 1 and 2. It's Ken Rowley and Bob Keselowski now up on the back straightaway. Can Keselowski catch Ken Rowley, and does Ken Rowley have enough to hold off the field and score what you would say would be an upset win here in the Allen Crow Memorial 100?
Well, we'll find out in just a few laps. Only 8 laps remaining right now as Tim Steele takes it into turn 3. And once again, it appears to be a two-car race as Ken Rowley up front and Keselowski are stretching that lead out a little bit away from the cars that are running back in the pack.
With the dust rising, you notice Keselowski is using all forms of the racetrack, trying to find some traction. He was to the outside of turn number 4, trying to gain advantage on Ken Rowley. It appears they both want to run the same line, but if Keselowski's going to pass, he's going to have to do it someplace other than where Ken Rowley's running, as the leader has position on the back straightaway. Ken Rowley in that multicolored number 27, leading back into turn number 3. It appears everything's working on his Chevrolet. Now, can Bob Keselowski get advantage down to the bottom in turn number 4? Doesn't look like it this time, as Ken Rowley leading, and Keselowski with nowhere to go other than to look behind Rowley as the laps close down.
Oh, boy, what an exciting finish here is number 29, Bob Keselowski, looking every way. But I'll tell you what, with this track being a one-groove racetrack the way it is, I don't think Keselowski's going to be able to get by Rowley. As I say that, and he moves right up. Oh, boy, this is a good finish. Number 27, Ken Rowley, leading the race here, and Steele once again in the picture. Don't discount him. He's having a good run here.
With the attention Rowley has to pay to Keselowski, he may be slowing down just a bit to protect his line. Steele running a very consistent run, has nothing to worry about except 2 leaders ahead of them. So if he can close in, it may be a 3-car battle before this one's all said and done.
Remember the finish last year when Bobby Bowser went underneath Ben Hess on the 99th lap of this race. Hess just got loose, went out in the marbles, got a little bit too wide, and Bowser came down for his second win. It appears that's not going to happen here. The 3 cars that are in contention for the win today, Ken Rowley and Bob Keselowski and Tim Steele.
As they go into turn number 3, Keselowski off of the second turn previous to that, almost at the back end of Ken Rowley. He may have brushed him momentarily to say, Ken, you better keep your line because I'm a-coming. Now it's a 3-car chase as Tim Steele has indeed closed the gap in turns number 3 and 4. Ken Rowley with his hands full with 2 ARCA Hooters Cup race drivers who have competed in every race this season on the veteran who competes part-time and making one of his infrequent starts here in ARCA Hooters Cup.
Imagine how many fingers are crossed in this big crowd up there holding on for Ken Rowley. They're saying, come on, baby, do it. There's 5 laps to go. And Keselowski on the inside now as they come down the back stretch. The Winnebago Chrysler on the inside of the number 27. Rowley on the outside, out there in the loose stuff a little bit. Can he do it? He's hanging up there. Ken Rowley and Bob Keselowski with a good run, and Rowley gets loose. He's on the outside, and both cars come around him. Number 16 makes the move down the front straightaway, and Rowley hanging tough there. What a great finish.
Rowley running second. Luckily, he got second spot back. All 4 tires are above the racing line. He was out in the loose stuff. His experience paid off as now again he's a bit wide. Tim Steele go under.
There he goes again. He's on the outside. Steele making a bid for second place. Rowley just cannot hang on. But boy, look at the horsepower as he goes back down the back straightaway. He continues to hold on to second place. And Keselowski now with the lead.
Bob Keselowski, the leader, pulling away out of the picture momentarily. Tim Steele now powering under Ken Rowley. It'll be Tim Steele running for second spot now as Rowley again a little bit loose off the pace just a tad, and now streaking up into turn number 1. New race leader Bob Keselowski, as we mentioned, winless yet in 1993.
Oh boy, Rowley looked just like Ben Hess last year when he went out there high. You can just imagine the feel from the inside of the race car there saying, come on baby, don't hit the wall. But right now it's Bob Keselowski with the lead. Tim Steele in second, Rowley holding tough there in third place, and man, these guys have blown away from the rest of the field.
Keselowski on Goodyear Eagles, half a lap from victory now in his Winnebago Gallianas Chrysler.
Tim Steele running in second place, and in third it's Ken Rowley from nearby Bloomington, Illinois. And down the front straightaway right now, number 29, the Winnebago Chrysler of Bob Keselowski, going to victory lane for the very first time in 1993. What a great race, Jim Trado.
Tim Steele has to be smiling ear to ear. Ken Rowley can do nothing but coast across the line as he had the lead with less than 10 laps to go. He ends up third. Jeep Pflum a lap down in fourth. And here comes Bobby Bowser as the field streaks by at full song. Bowser worked all race to get back on lead lap. Now he comes across the line. He will be in the top 10, but look at how disappointed his run was as he had so many overheating problems. The Quality Farm and Fleet Ford now just getting past the start-finish line.
And no driver has won this race 3 years in a row. Bowser has won it the last 2, but now coming down towards victory lane is number 29, Bob Keselowski. And you know, Jim, they've only had a couple of top 5s throughout this season. It's been a real disappointment for Bob Keselowski. I'm sure this has got to help get him back on track. The fans are loving it, and here comes the crew out as Bob Keselowski goes to victory lane. There you see a shot of the fans. 16,000 on hand today here at the Springfield Mile for another exciting ARCA Hooters Cup race. The Winnebago Chrysler in victory lane right now. There you see the winner, Bob Keselowski.
Keselowski, all the fans are on their feet cheering. His crew is going crazy. Keselowski saying, finally, I'm getting victory lane for 1993.
We'll talk with the winner when we come back right after this. Well, folks, you see down here in Victory Lane, Bob Keselowski getting swarmed by the fans. Bob, what a great race out there. The fans certainly got their dollar's worth today.
Well, thank you. I tell you, we needed a win so bad. I tell you, like I told them out there, I think this is the most important race I've ever won. You know, I finally got a major sponsor. It took years and years and years to get one, and I couldn't win a race. You know, I felt so bad for him, but finally got a race, and you know, it's getting towards the end of the season, and I need to get a contract to get going again next year, so maybe this will help that. I mean, it's a great day. I mean,
yeah, this time last season, you had 4 victories in ARCA Hooters Cup. It's been a tough go so far.
Oh, it sure has. I mean, we don't even have many top 5. I think I had 4 victories and 5 or 6 second-place wins, and it's just been a struggle. Not any one thing, and I can't blame the Chrysler, and I can't blame myself, and I can't blame the pit crew. I know it's just a host of little different things, and I don't know. Maybe that's turned it around.
Well, Jim, let's take a look at our final running order in today's event. Kenny Allen from Shelby, North Carolina, out early in the OnSat Pontiac, as well as J. Paul Weber, Mark Thompson, and Steve Drake, all those early retirees.
L.W. Miller found the fence in his first start on the dirt. Kenny Schrader credited with 35th in his run. The pedigree Food for Dog Chevrolet having some problems. Gary Hawes overheating as well. Bob Brevac, Jeremy Mayfield, amongst those drivers with overheating problems today.
Right. Bob Straight from Mokina, Illinois, in the Target Expediting Ford out on lap 34. Randy Huffman from nearby Moreau, Illinois. Jim Elliott and Steve Kosiski, who led the first 53 laps of today's race, out on lap 53.
Bob Hill, the pole sitter, credited 1 spot better in 26th. As we move through the running order, Glenn Brewer, looking forward to a strong run, ends up 21st today. Jody Garrett 19th after a number of pit stops. Mark Anderson in 17th spot out of Lexington, Illinois. Robert Ham brings home the Budweiser Chevrolet in 16th spot in the running order.
Rich Hayes from Springfield, Illinois, in the Hayes Mobile World car. He finishes in 15th position. Eric Smith, Scotty Sands, and Bob Dotter from Chicago, Illinois, rounding out the top 15 there, with Dean Roper finishing 11th. Bob Williams from Canfield, Ohio, finishing 10th.
Bobby Boucher's 9th, 1 lap off the pace in the Quality Farm and Fleet Ford. The Pontiac of Mike Fry of Bloomington, Illinois, will be credited with 8th. 7th to Graham Taylor, also in a Pontiac from Port Royal, Pennsylvania, and the Blackstock Racing Pontiac of Roger Blackstock finishes 6th.
Frank Kimmel from Jeffersonville, Indiana, 5th. 4th, Jeep Pflum. 3rd, Ken Rowley. Tim Steele, 2nd, and Bob Keselowski, 1st. So, Jim Trado, Bob Keselowski picks up a much-needed win here on the 1-mile dirt track at Springfield. An excellent race.
Another exciting run. Unfortunately, our pole sitter Bob Hill and Kenny Schrader, 2 of the favorites coming in, had problems early with overheating. A number of teams, including Jeremy Mayfield, overheating early in the event, putting them out of this 100-lapper. But another great run on the dirt mile for the ARCA Hooters Cup.
Steve Kosiski had a good run early, and we want to thank you folks for joining us here on the Prime Network. Hope you'll join us for more ARCA Hooters Cup racing coming up. And don't forget, the folks in this area, this part of the country, have had a lot of problems with flooding, and we're going to put up the number for the American Red Cross if you'd like to donate to help out those who are much less fortunate than you. Along with Jim Trado, I'm Ray Dunlap. Thanks a lot for joining us for ARCA Hooters Cup racing.